Welcome to the 5th episode of Shredthology. 2021 is off to a start. Good or bad, I can't really say, but I can say a couple things. So far this year, I've recently been putting some energy into getting my body back up to working order. I've had a pretty bricked ankle for most of 2020, and I'm just now starting to mend it. So classic skate procrastination. But I'm doing it. I'm trying to get shit fixed. And yeah, we're getting there. In other news, the IDF is having its board elections for the 2021 season. From what I understand, the 2021 racing season isn't happening, but they're going to use this year to kind of come together as a board and figure out how to make 2022 work as efficiently as possible. So I have the IDF page pulled up here and got the candidates in front of me. It looks like the candidates for the 2021-2022 IDF, that's the International Downhill Federation board members, are Aaron Brewer. I can tell you, Aaron has been in the skateboarding community for a long time. He's been putting a lot of energy into showing what skateboarding is through media publications such as Downgrade Magazine and Skate Slate. He's also been very involved in the community side of things, showing up to events, helping people learn to skate, putting people on the pedestal who deserve to be there. And he's always had the want and need to bring downhill skateboarding up and the members of it with it. So yeah, Aaron, I could see him being a pretty good member of the board. Jack Collins, this guy has been putting a lot of work in the downhill community, organizing sessions, organizing events, and trip planning. He's also become pretty well known for putting out some pretty funny media on social internets. And yeah, I think his main goal is to take in new riders and kind of help them with their introduction to the IDF, if I'm getting that right. If not, you can look at the IDF website and find out for yourself. Brian Courtright, Chubbs, the dude's a wizard. He's a genius when it comes to media and advertising and stuff like that. I think his main priority with the IDF is going to be functionality through the website and kind of making it easy for people to function within the IDF and outside the IDF to see what's going on with the website. Yeah, he's a pretty solid dude. He'll get it done. Max Doobler, this guy is 110% committed to downhill skateboarding and has been doing it for a long time. He's been putting in work through this Venom team for as long as I can remember. He's been putting in work with DGM, Downgrade Magazine, Epic Photographer. He got sent out to like 5 events last year with Comet to take photos and just like make media for people, which is pretty cool. And yeah, he is currently studying in San Francisco, studying something, but yeah, he's a good fit. He's definitely a pretty bright dude. He'll do a good job on the board. James Hopkins seems pretty dedicated to the scene. Hopkins Skate, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's an Australian skate shop. Seems like a pretty solid dude. Zach Madem, yeah, this guy is he's pretty much made of skateboarding, and he's been racing for a long time. He's been to every rodeo there and back. He's done the IDF circuit. I figure he'll bring some like reality to the board, and take it from an approach of what is possible, what's doable. That dude's gonna be good. Chris McBride is a loser who goes to all the Maryhill races, and I see him pretty often. Seems like a pretty solid dude. He helped out with the Maryhill Windwalk, and that event turned out pretty good. Had a good turnout, good media presence, and it was pretty entertaining to watch. So he'll probably do a good job too. Seems pretty professional. Louise Mogrovjo, don't know who that is, but you can check him out on the IDF website. Austin Pedrone, I've seen him in a couple events. He seems like he's dedicated. Seems like he's interested in downhill skateboarding and can probably put in some good work. He works with Madrid and Venom, and is obviously qualified. And Tyler Topping, he's a solid dude who put a lot of work in last season, putting in work at events all over Europe and all over America, just making media for people and getting to know people, and seems like a really solid dude, real nice guy. Yeah, seems like a super solid board. I think if this is the team, it's gonna be good. Probably gonna be some more people too, but as far as I've really looked into it, that's the IDF board, and pretty cool thing you can check out on IDF. Voting is going on till tomorrow at 8:30, so you can sign up as a IDF member for $30 on internationaldownhillfederation.org and go vote. So if you feel like being a part of that conversation and doing something, and are looking forward to 2022 racing season, then I would recommend go and check that out. That's cool. So tonight's episode, I wanted to talk about skateboarding, of course, but something I was thinking about the other day that kind of got me fired up and inspired was, I'm at this part of my skateboarding life. I'm a skateboarder. I am a mutation in the human population, which has led me to exist on a skateboard in the city, and have found a pretty cool crew of people to do it with for life. But for the last couple of years, I've found myself wanting to do event organizing and session organizing and being like more or less a community leader. When I was living in San Francisco, I was lucky enough to skate with Big Dave, who was kind of like the camp counselor, community leader in San Francisco. And he was kind of just like super solid when it came to organization and getting this crew fired up. And he did a really good job of just getting people to have fun on their skateboard and want to be a part of the experience and bringing new people in and, getting everyone hyped up, even though it wasn't at his hill or in his city. He had a contagious stoke that made you want to skate more. And on one of the nights on a slider session on a Wednesday, I was in the bus with Dave, and I asked him, like, hey man, like, what is it? How do you do this? How do you be a community leader? Like, do you have any advice? And he didn't really tell me any. He couldn't really say anything. He chose to withhold all of his knowledge. And at the time, I was like kind of perplexed as to why he would do that. But now looking back at it, I think it was because you don't want to like craft a person to a mold to do something for skateboarding. They have to figure that out for themselves. They have to go through their own trials and tribulations to be able to reach the point to where they can be beneficial and give back to their community. And it's been a rough ride. It hasn't been easy. And when you have these huge scenes and massive attended events that were happening in the 2010s, and you've seen all that, and with the way that downhill skateboarding had kind of declined in popularity and people were moving on to different things, and sessions really weren't as fired up anymore, and the races weren't really as heated or as packed, it was kind of hard to go through that and really want to see that attendance in your own community, but also having to face the music that wasn't going to happen. After I was living in San Francisco, my grandfather had a kidney failure, and he was pretty much given 3 or 4 years to live. I wanted to be there for him when he passed, so I moved away from San Francisco and left that skating life behind to move back to my hometown, Boise, Idaho. But when I got there, I found people in the hills skating. One thing led to another. Sessions started happening, and then we had a race, and we had a pretty good turnout. And it wasn't like 100 people, but the stoke was still there, and it was still as potent. And I realized, it's not really about the amount of people that attend. It's more about the mindset that is created at the event. If people think the scene is bunk or busted and dead, and then come to an event and spend their time at the event thinking that and moving through their emotions with that in mind, then they're really missing out. Look around you. People are having fun skateboarding with other people. That is life. That's not death. And even at these little slide jams in Boise where we had about 15, 16 people, you could feel that potent energy of just, this is new to us. This is something that we're blessed to experience, and we're fucking here for it. And, we might not have 50, 60, 100 people showing up at events, but that stoke is still there, and it's still palpable. You can still feel it, and that's what's important. Times are different now. We've got a global pandemic. Skate events have kind of all but gone away this year, and skate crews are still pretty wary about who they skate with and what sessions they go to and how they organize events and sessions. Needless to say, shuttling isn't really a thing anymore. Big slide jams aren't really a thing anymore. Races definitely aren't a thing anymore. At least, sanctioned races. Outlaws maybe. But we got to keep going. We got to keep keeping on. And, we can't let it burn out. We have to keep the fire lit. And, there's a couple ways to do that. I'm kind of doing this episode to open up a discussion for what can we do to keep the fire lit. And that includes can we do today? What can we do tomorrow, even with the state of things? It's always important to have groms in the scene. Getting people into skating is important. There's a organization called Camp Woodwings in Europe, and they have skateboard lessons and a skateboarding camp. So you can come learn to skate downhill. You can come to skate like dancing and freestyle, and they teach you all the basics, and then kind of have a progression system that goes from beginner to intermediate to advanced to like the highest level. So you pay some money and then you go off to the hills and you get to skate a closed down road. They have camp coaches, a place to stay. They feed you. They give you rides up and down the hill. They have a full team to manage safety, and I think a majority of it is probably covered by the entry fees, but also probably partners and sponsors from the country, I imagine, and maybe the city too. So downhill camps, they seem like a pretty cool thing. We don't have anything like that in the US where you can just send your kid off to downhill skateboarding camp. We've got the Maryhill G-Ride, which is kind of like a free ride that's centered around geezers, groms, and other noobs. And that seems to be the only thing I can really think of that we have here, but that's definitely, it has potential. There's also skaters like Robin McGurk and Brandon Desjardins who are hosting lessons that you can pay for. I know Brandon is doing private longboard lessons down in the LA area right now. He seems to be doing the good thing, getting people into skateboarding through his Instagram, showing people all the trick tips. He's working it. It's his job, and he's making it happen. Robin also teaches lessons to people through Portland Community College, and it's a job for him as well. And he takes people to Mount Tabor on Wednesdays when the hill's closed to cars, and he doesn't even have to really rent out a road. He doesn't have to close it down and do anything like that. So he's pretty lucky to have something like that in Portland. Brandon, he's probably doing a little bit more outlaw style, but I don't know. I haven't really talked to him about it. But this is kind of the way things are going right now, you know? You can get some money together, and if you have the numbers and like the manpower to make it happen and the energy to make a downhill skateboarding camp or a free ride skateboarding camp and close down roads for a couple days, that might be a good way to get some people dedicated, you know, get some groms. So yeah, guys, I'm going to log into Facebook right now and we're going to have some discussions about this. I want to hear what you guys think. Like, what are your ideas of what can make skateboarding like accessible, and how can we pass it down to the next generation, you know? How can we keep skateboarding alive? So for me, I kind of find myself right now at a point in life where I feel like I've put so much energy into the event organization and the session organization, and I don't want to say I'm burnt out, but I'm pretty much like wanting to see other people kind of pick up the torch, and I don't want to see it just kind of drop into the dirt and get put out. So I was thinking, how do we get this thing going? How do we pass skateboarding on? How do we give it like a new look or a life to where people will want to pick up that torch and keep that going? We need to kind of latch onto the industry and hope that it'll keep us afloat. But there's another part of me that thinks that we need to do it ourselves and bring ourselves up. Daryl Bowlig is here, and Daryl says, we need money to sustain us, but not by selling out. And yes, I'm with you. I think the money portion is there. People spend money on gear, and that's kind of something that I had a thought about today. What if people just bought one setup and skated that one setup for years? Like, instead of just like keep putting money into new setups every like month or two, they just skate the same thing. Like, what could that money that is being spent on snakes and precision trucks and 5 or 6 different boards, like, how could that be better utilized? Because you see this money going into the brand, and then the brands are doing things, but they're not really, there's not that many brands that have our voice or are hearing our voice. We need to change that. We need to be heard, and we need to have, like, we need the community to be provided for. And some brands, they probably just care about keeping afloat. I know that Sector 9, they were recently bought by someone else, and you don't really see anything about them anymore. Like, I got an Angie's Curves shirt here, and at the highlight of downhill division in Sector 9, they were putting money into super sick races like Angie's Curves and the Catalina Classic. And, you know, they were giving these venues for people to come skate and shred, and now it's they're just gone. Like, you don't even hear anything about them anymore. I'm not really sure what happened, but it's kind of a blow, you know? Like, you don't see the same brands putting themselves into the community anymore, building downhill skateboarding. Kevin Reimer did a really good job for the last couple of years. He has been working with Pal Peralta, which is a huge name in skateboarding, I'm sure you all know. And to see Kevin put on an epic event like Tepe and Tacos, and last year in 2019, he threw the SMR Freeride, which is like a legendary event in its own. That's what I want to see. You know, I want to see the industry taking in skaters who are going to then put themselves and the industry they've latched themselves onto in the community and keep them there. You know, it's hard to sell downhill skateboarding. There's a lot of tedious hoops you have to jump through, like road closures when you want to throw an event, and safety, and hay, and not setting a hill on fire. There's a lot of things you have to do to make it okay in the public eye. It's definitely doable. It's been done. Do we have the resources to do it? Can a person like me who works 40 hours a week go put his own hard-earned money in renting out a hill, renting a U-Haul, getting a crew of volunteers together to go put hay on the hill and corner watch, and shut down the road at the same time to make sure no one dies for a whole weekend? It's hard. It's asking a lot. I think we do need people in the industry who get paid to do that, have them do that. Instead of having random heroes in your community who are stretching themselves thin, throwing events. I mean, that's always going to be downhill skateboarding, though. You know, at its root, it's outlaws in the hills making it happen. Sleep or none, it's going to happen. But I don't know. Let's see. Daryl's speaking up. What you got, Daryl? Also, what about poor countries where they can hardly afford gear? We need to support those people too. Yeah, we do. And how do we do that? How do we get there? How do we send people to the Philippines to stoke out people? How do we send people to China to stoke out people? And how do we get gear into those people's hands? Maybe we inspire them to make their own DIY. DIY can be done anywhere. You know, it might be easier to have them create their own products than to get a distributor set up there so we can send them Sector 9 Land Yachts boards. I don't know. Daryl also agrees that companies dishing out the cash helps too. Events and racing is what makes us want the new gear. But if they don't keep that going, the scene dies. Yeah, I guess racing definitely does kind of push gear. And people want new. That's kind of what people like. They like the shiny new shit that they don't know what that is. Like, you see a picture of a new Era K6 on Instagram and you're like, ooh, what's this? How can I get some of that? And then you just get really into it. And then when they finally drop, you buy it. And then you buy everything else Pal Peralta makes because, that's how they go. People are talking about bringing Silverfish back. Daryl, he's talking about Hive a lot right now. And yeah, I think we need to lead by example. I think we just need to, when you're on the hill skating and you see some really rad shit going down, that's what gets you fired up. That's what makes you want to do that. That's kind of like that imprinting where you see something happen and then you're like, I gotta go get it. So maybe we can do the same thing with Hive and Silverfish. Like, how do we show people that on the internet? How do we make Facebook groups fizzle out and rad skate forums pop up again? Like, basically, how do we make the metaphorical skate hill where people are getting fired up and seeing cool shit and want to go try that? How do we turn Facebook and the internet and forums into that? And how do we spread it? Sam Hoffman chimes in. Events are super important, but reminding downhill skaters that smaller solo sessions can be dope is so important. I agree with you, Sam. I think that sessions are like the lifeblood. And, I've been part of scenes where there were some really big pros in the area, and it was really hard to get them to skate with you. Like, there was a lot of people who were not very humble, and then there were some that were very humble. And getting to skate with your pros that you idolize and people that you really want to learn from and skate with and see skate, having them interact with you on a personal level at sessions and not just events is also very important, I think. So that's why I try to skate with everybody. Like, if anyone hits me up to skate in Portland, like, I'll go skate with you. Like, I'll fucking throw down most gnarly shit I can right there, and I'll blow your fucking mind, and hopefully you'll step up and, like, try to follow me down the hill, and it'll be a rad session. You know what? I'm not fiddy-didding about. I'm not just gonna chill and putt and, like, just, like, not skate hard anymore. Fuck that. I'm in this shit so that I can flow and have the greatest time possible, and I want to see other people pushing their limits too. And if you don't push your limits on the hill and show them what the fuck is up, then they're not going to know what the fuck is up, and you're never going to see that progression. And I think progression is also super important, you guys. Don't take it chill because of who you skate with. Like, teach them, show them, make sure they can make it down the hill, and then once that happens, skate circles around them. Make them see what is so rad about skateboarding. Like, be like Andy Anderson and just fucking melt minds. Be like Byron and melt minds. Like, don't just, like, pedal dick around on your skateboard. If you're gonna fucking skateboard, send it. But know your limits. Always skate within your limits. Sam Hoffman, I live for Maryhill freerides, but slide back sessions keep me sane. Yeah, dude. Leaving Thane lines on the ground and just like walking up a hill with nature around you is like the best thing ever. And everyone should go do that as often as possible. But yeah, when you go to Maryhill events, it's like, it's something special, you know? Like everyone brings their little arts and crafts projects they've been working on, and you just get to see really cool things and learn new things about people and learn from people. And then I don't know, Maryhill is just a special event. It's special and you don't get to see that much. But talk to people, talk to skaters, and ask them questions, you know? Don't ask them for autographs, ask them how to do a sick slide or how to corner better, you know? Because they've got heaps of information, and we're all going to do better if they just pass it on to you. Josh, I've been jonesing to hit Mesa with you again. Yeah, man, that road is so fun. It's got the best pavement and all types of pavements, and there's so many driveway cutouts. There's definitely a driveway line that we haven't found there, and I'm really stoked to go back and skate that again. Daryl, my very first Maryhill, I was taught better skating by Max Caps. And my first Giants Head freeride, James Kelly and Lanyards guys that helped me. Yeah, man, like right place, right time, Daryl. Fucking A. Yeah, man, like I was skating in San Francisco, and like the Lanyards A team came through one night, and it was like Pat Shep, Billy Bones, that one Aussie photographer they have. I think Nick Breton was there, Fingerbang, and like just got to skate all the sick runs with these dudes and see their style and just like have fun with them on the hill. And it was so cool because, you know, if you see like your favorite skater just sitting there, it's kind of like, do something, man. Do something. Drop in. Do something. Like, you just want to see that. And then even after they do that, like, you're stoked. But if you get to skate with them, then you feel like you're part of it, you know? Like, it's not just like, you're not just awestruck. You're like, oh, okay. We're moving around in the same environment, in the same space. We exist in the same realm. This means that this is something I can do. And if I push myself and push others, then we can all have this. We can all have this super rad experience where we're all just skating together and getting down. So, guys, I want to find out, like, how can you best pass on skateboarding? So, Josh Anderson, when I first met him in Boise, he showed up with a GoPro and like a popsicle stick and some 99A slide A's from Earthwing. And, you know, apparently this was like his first time trying to freeride, and my buddy Brandon invited him to the hill. And he just started busting out slides and filming us. And then next thing you know, he was at the next session filming. And then at the next session filming. And dude was just like, every time he was at the hill, he was filming. And then when he put the cameras away, he was shredding and getting better and better. And this is like back in 2014. I was like new to the Boise scene, but right away I found out that we had some super rad individuals in the community, and it was going to be a very, very potent one. And when I left Boise, I left knowing that I was leaving it in good hands, because Josh was there, and Brandon was there, and Sean was there, and CJ was there, and all these people were just like, they were just satiating for the stoke. They just wanted it. They were trying to get after it, and you could just see that they were going to go as far as they could to like keep going and keep that fire lit. So yeah, that was one scene where I was like, okay, this is like gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Like, I put in my work here. We all had fun. This is gonna blow the fuck up. I'm excited to see what happens next. And then I moved to Portland, and that's a different story for another time. Let's see what we got. Daryl. Daryl says, I managed to be in a few scenes of the G-Labs videos that Loaded put out with Ari Shark, I think 5 years ago. That got me stoked as hell. Yeah, man. For Loaded to like invest in a garage skateboard scene and be such a powerhouse that it is, that was pretty special. I think the Loaded team is killing it right now, and they have been. Like, you can look at all the Loaded ambassador videos, and they're just pushing skateboarding, and they're showing how fun it can be, how accessible it can be, and how gnarly it can be all at once. And I think that's my favorite thing about Loaded is like they show you what it looks like to be a rad community. Like, they don't just show you what it's like to be like a gnarly Hesh skater that just like destroys minds and kills everybody at events and wins races. They show you what the ideal scene could be, where like you've got two people who love to freeride and they love skating with people who are around that level of just high level freeride, and then they go out and slay their hills. Or 5 or 6 people who meet up on a Saturday morning and go downhill a run and just like take all the crazy lines they can find and just ride close to each other while hooting and hollering down the hill. Like, that shit really does it for me, and they are killing it. Also, yeah, the Adam and Adam trick tips from back in the day. They've got a really good thing going, Loaded, and I've already talked about it in one of my previous episodes, like Whirling Dervish. They were just like, yeah, they made freeriding and putting and cruising look fun, and they really just caught that soul of longboarding, which is like the community element. Like, this isn't something you go and bash your head against a wall or fall 20 times on a rail and do and bleed and like stress out about, or just like indulge in that madness. It's something that you go and connect to other people with. Like, I think in its core, that's what longboarding has given us. It's a way to connect with people on a new level that you can do with anyone in the world. There's no language barrier. It's just that dude's shredding, that girl's shredding, I'm shredding. We're using our environment in a really fun, unique way. I'm getting hyped off what he's doing. He's getting hyped off what she's doing, and so on and so forth. Sam says, I've always respected Robin McGurk's approach to seeding Stoke. Making it a class may seem square, but makes going fast so accessible. Joe Lem, too. Teach breaking first. Maryhill Skate School was legit. Yeah, so Joe Lem is a really good talking point. He's been doing the skate school in Santa Fe for a long time, and he's been doing slap and the all-around challenge and helping out with Maryhill Skate School as well. Yeah, Joe's no joke. He knows what's up. He knows what the formula is to make like skateboarding the most fun. And to be able to teach that is pretty rad. Funny story. So back in like, I want to say, like March of 2020, I was like dedicated and devoted to going on a solo kind of spirit quest, if you will. I was going to go down to San Diego and skate this event called the Backside Brawl, and I was going to help volunteer. Then I was going to go to Tepe and Tacos and skate that event and help volunteer. And then I was going to go to Ditch Slap and skate that event and help volunteer. And then after that, I was going to go and be skate school instructor certified at skate school with Joe. And I was just going to try to absorb as much information as possible about event hosting and community organizing, and hopefully come back like a fully fledged version of myself with like just the most potent life experience of how to be a sick community organizer. And I was pretty much about to jump off the high dive into that trip when COVID happened, and it completely made me hit the brakes. And now I find myself kind of sitting in this state of mind where I don't really know where it's going to go and how it's going to go. And, I can't really make any moves or find that out as of now because just how the world is. But do I think skating events are going to still happen in some form in the future? Yes. Do I feel like they're going to come back and hit even harder than before and be even bigger than before? I don't know. I hope so. The way 2019 was going, it certainly felt like that might happen. It really felt like the Maryhill Showdown at the Loops was the beginning of a new era of longboarding and downhill skateboarding and racing. Like, the people who showed up at that event and the energy at that event just made me realize that this is something that is like a really, really sharp sword that's just going to pierce through all the bullshit that is going to put a stopper on this awesome thing that we do. And it's going forth with a big gusto. So you guys, I feel like we do kind of need to approach this through a new perspective. The free riding and the events that were just like come and skate with your homies all week was super sick. But is that really going to have any longevity? Like, is that style of event organizing going to push the sport and get people hyped to come and join it? Like, that kind of event, I feel like, is more catered to the people who have been doing it for a while and who have made a place for themselves in the community and want to skate with their friends who have been doing the same thing. But what about the noobs? What about the groms? What about the geezers who just want to jump in and have fun with us? Like, I gotta ask you, what about the future? The IDF is doing something that I think is a good step in the right direction. They're going to focus on racing, like always, but they're also going to focus on free riding as well as new rider introduction. And I think it's great that the International Downhill Federation is down to pick up that torch and lead the newbies and the newcomers into the scene. Because seeing downhill skateboarding racing and free riding as a noob would be mind-blowing. And having the option to be there at the right time in the right place is hard, but it's doable if we can get them to show up. And if they do show up, they're going to be mind-blown. And they're going to be stoked out of their minds seeing racers and sliders jam down these hills. And then for the IDF to say, hey, come with us, we're going to show you something cool. And give them the means to do that and practice that at these events. I think that is a huge, huge thing for for the future and potential future of this sport. If we can give people more accessibility and do it in close proximity to these skaters who are doing it at this level, then they're going to be more inclined to want to try it and also replicate that. Sure, not maybe that day. They're going to have to like earn their bruises and their cuts and their road rash just like the rest of us had to. But if they see the light at the end of the tunnel and are given the ability to walk into that tunnel at the same time as that is happening, I feel like that is a good combination for potential lifers. And even if they're not lifers and they're just in there for a while, you know, that could lead to a lot of good things. I think companies need to keep doing a lot, and they need to follow the lead like Loaded does. You know, they show their videos in a way that gets you stoked to be a part of the community. They show you what it can be like to have a ripping crew in your community and be a part of that, instead of just the gnarliest shit. People are going out of their way to teach people, take Groms into their scene. These are the kind of things that I'm looking for, y'all. And I want to see more people take that up. I want to see more people do it. Like I said, a lot of us work full-time jobs, and it takes a lot of energy to go and host a scene and to bring people into it. But we can divvy that energy up between a lot of people and still do it. It doesn't take one person to do it all. If you've got 100 pounds to lift and you have one person try to lift it, it's going to be a lot harder than, say, 10 people try to lift it, you know? And the same result is going to happen whether it's with 1 or 10. So if we can have 10 people want to pick up the torch and inspire people to skate and bring people into their crew and take people under their wing and show people what's good with skateboarding down hills and longboarding in the parking garages, in a parking lot, on bike paths, down Mary Hill. This is going to be a good way forward. So we just need more people to want to be inspired to do something for their community. It's hard to do with one person, and people who do it by themselves are burnt out at the end. You know, Mike Gerard threw Central Mass for 10 years. I'm sure he had help, but it's not happening this year. Could have happened this year. If someone picked it up and kept it going, it could have happened. Minus the pandemic, of course, but that goes without saying. Sam, novice level events are also important. The Mary Hill G-Ride was for Groms, girls, and geezers. Low stress, lots of teaching, and opportunities to drop in wherever. Yeah, dude. Mary Hill events are a pinnacle of downhill skateboarding, and I'm fully for them. I volunteer with the Mary Hill Rats, and I'm super stoked to have the honor of being involved with such a good crew. And every chance I get to learn something from Dino or Ali or Miles, I take that, and I'm stoked to be a part of it. I do want to see more events happen like Mary Hill elsewhere, like more often, you know, like having 3 Mary Hill events a year is dope. Imagine if we had other events like Mary Hill, but in North Carolina or in Portland or in Malibu or in Santa Barbara, where you could come skate these super high level roads in a closed environment and approach it from any skill level. And, you know, not be telling people, no, you can't come, kook. You're too sketchy, or you're not gonna be able to skate it safely. But instead, be like, yay, this is a cool place for you to come and learn. And it's a really sick hill too. And it's going to be safe. That would be awesome. And, I don't see skate organizations like the IDF really promoting people and paying them or giving them the resources to do that. So I think we're going to have to do it ourselves. And I've thrown a couple events where there's an entry fee, and I can tell you guys, if you put in the energy to make it a dope event and have the safety precautions in place and have the necessary safety and just keep it legit, close it down, corner watch, people are going to be like wanting to pay for that because it's exactly what they need. And if you are making that for them, I know it takes a lot of energy, but if you are making that for them, then they're going to be willing to pay for what it costs to make that event happen. And, like $120 to come skate a road for a day or two, completely closed, with shuttles, super safe, that's going to last a lifetime. One day is going to last a lifetime in that person's mind. So $120 is damn worth it. I mean, the SMR free ride was like $360, but it was such a rad, dope, once in a lifetime event. It was definitely worth the money. So guys, it's definitely possible. Don't shoot yourself in the foot before you've even taken a step. Try something, Put your feelers out there to see who would be interested in this event or that event, and see if it's feasible, Do some budgeting. Make an estimate. If you don't like doing that stuff, ask your community if someone would be interested in doing that stuff, because I'm sure there's someone out there who has the know-how to do it. I mean, I'm a film major, and I've put on events and done budgeting for events and done all sorts of crap to make events happen. And I had to learn that shit, but it was worth it. And, if this world ever opens back up, I'm probably going to go out there and try to learn more because, I want to see the downhill skateboarding community grow and the downhill skateboarding